your family couldn't get this movie for 2 weeks.
It might have even been, I think it was like 17 years.
Yeah.
It was so hot.
Dueling decades. All right, Mancrush. You pick up a point, tie up this game. More importantly, you take control of the board heading into our final 1-point round. Where are we going?
All right, let's go hot products here, round 3. Let's go June 16th, 1981. Going outside the box a little bit on this one. Last week on the Canon episode, I brought the very first to a hot products round, and that was a human. And this week, another first. I think this is the largest hot product that one has ever brought to the hot products round. And you know what? Like, if anybody can afford $20.5 million in 1981, which is a steal, by the way, because $20.5 million in 1981 is $61 million in 2021. There you go, Dave. There you go, Drew. You would scoop this product right up. Seriously, this almost seems like you were selling the island of Manhattan here. And just to compare, just to tell you, like, this same product sold in 2010 for $845 million, which is over $1 billion in 2021. So that's pretty insane that this only went for $20.5 million in 1981. A bit of history goes a long way with this one, since the current owners of this, they held the majority interest in this product for the last 60 years, dating back to 1921. And even prior to that, this family, they held a minority stake for 5 years. So this is a pretty substantial sell, especially since their names are still associated with this team to this very day. At the time, the Chicago Cubs, they were one of the least successful teams in baseball. And the Wrigleys, they had been losing money like year after year for the last, I think it was like about 4 years. And the year prior to them selling, they lost $1.7 million. And then if you look at the history of this, William Wrigley, who owned it at this time, both of his parents had just recently died within the past several years. So they had like looming tax problems that he was running into. So after 60 years, it was time to sell. And not to mention, like I talked about before, Major League Baseball was under like a players' strike, and the players wouldn't even get back on the field till August 9th. So he's just bleeding money at this point. So with all that, it seemed like a perfect time to unload the Cubbies. And in comes the Tribune Company to save the day. And of course, that's the parent company of the Chicago Tribune and the Daily News in New York. They ponied up that gigantic $20.5 million for 81% ownership of the Chicago Cubs. That's 1,900 shares in baseball's only publicly owned corporation. And they also threw in Wrigley Field, and they also threw in all the team's debts. But all in all, I mean, this is like a no-brainer at the time for these guys. The Tribune Company, they owned the Chicago Tribune, of course, like I said before. They also owned like several cable companies within the Illinois area. They also had multiple local radio and television stations like WGN. So this was like the perfect opportunity to grab the franchise and then highlight them, and, you know, with all their media assets that they had. That's it. I mean, they did have some good years going through the 80s. I remember the Mets playing them in the mid 80s. It was a tough team. But I'd say that the highlight for the Tribune Company owning this team was putting lights in Wrigley Field back in 1988. That was probably the highlight of the entire stretch of them owning it. Of course, they were never able to break the curse of the Billy Goat. That honor would go under the current owner, Tom Ricketts, the guy who purchased the team I was talking about before in 2010 for $845 million. And that was also a 95% stake of the team. And that team and that owner, they were the ones that break that 71-year-old curse at the time when they won the World Series. What was that? It must have been 2016. They won that.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I give you the hottest product of this week, Chicago Cubs.
Nice. Great pick. As a Cubbies fan, I can appreciate that one.
Cubbies fan.
Yeah, I am. And Mr. Drew Zakmin here is a baseball fan, so
Not a Cubs fan.
no, I know.
Sorry. They had some good teams. I mean, they had Ryan Sandberg. You know, they had the Hawk. They had a young Greg Maddux. So they had some good players.
I was going through the years. I always felt they were
Grace.
tough. Yeah, they were a tough play for the Mets for years. But when I looked at their records, they really never did that well until like the early 2000s period. And they had a couple years in the 80s where they were solid and a couple in the 90s, but they were never there till they sold again.
Solid investment though.
Yeah, dude, 20.5 million. It's a drop in the bucket.
That's nothing now.
We should go fund me that. We could buy like a major league soccer team.
That's about it.
Yeah.
All right, Drew Zakmin, what did you bring for the hot products round?
So I have I went this route because I remember going out to get this, and it wasn't there because it was so hot we couldn't find it because it was off the shelves. But I'm talking about on June 17th, 1992, the Addams Family VHS, which is way hotter than the Cubs. But this film, it actually was released in theaters November of 91, had a budget of 30 million or a box office of 191 million, or as we like to say in 2021, $366 million. So there you guys go. Yeah, I mean, I remember going to like West Coast Video we went to back then, and the whole wall would just be lined with these Addams Family, VHS tapes. But it was such a hot product back then. Like, even though, they have all those cases out there, behind the covers was nothing because all the VHS tapes were constantly sold out, at least for the first couple of weeks we tried getting it. So, yeah, I mean, the movie, it's a great movie. It was one of the last, unfortunately, movies that Raul Julia made. But yeah, that was it. Addams Family, man. That was a great flick, VHS. And in the Zakmin household, it was definitely a hot product. It was so hot we couldn't get it for the first couple of weeks.
I believe Raul Julia died because he was in
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Yeah. I think he was just like,
that was the last one. That was the last movie he made.
Well, went out on top.
All right, fellas. For my hot product, we're going to get on the bus and we're going to go pick up some concert tickets. And you could get these concert tickets for then priced anywhere from $6, $5, $4, depending on where you sat in the house. So in June of 1972, this band was coming off a legendary tour of Europe that would be immortalized as a classic live album. They would play their first show back in the United States in months to a hot crowd at the Hollywood Bowl on June 17th, 1972. Now, unfortunately, this show would be the final show for one of the band's founding members, as he would pass away just 9 months later. Someone who truly embodied the spirit of the group and was seen as the original frontman. And despite that loss, and it was a loss that would be only one among many for this group, they would endure it and go on to be one of the top touring bands of the 1980s and the 1990s. I give you the final show of Ron Pigpen McKernan with the Grateful Dead. This show was also the first ever live performance of a song that would be one of the Dead's signature ballads, Stella Blue. In a kind of eerie connection, Stella Blue, which was written 2 years prior to its debut, is a song with lyrics that kind of suggest a dying bluesman looking back on his broken dreams of a hard life on the road. So this first rendition of the song, absolutely amazing, with Pigpen playing the organs, and there's just a really haunting, eerie sound as it kind of fills out behind Jerry's guitar. And you can hear his organs front and center on some of the good live recordings. It's really nice up there in the mix. So I give you the Grateful Dead live at the Hollywood Bowl, June 17th, 1972, the final show for Pigpen, an unfortunate member of the 27 Club. So that's what I have for hot products. Definitely a concert that I would be more than happy to get tickets to for $6. So, all right, Dave Schultz, let's hear what you have to say on the hot products round.
All right, 1981, the sale of the Cubs. I think it's kind of neat that the Tribune Company, got 81% of the Cubs in 1981? Was there a jokester
Ooh,
behind
yeah.
that? Was there some pencil pushers like, yeah, this is funny as hell?
What we got? Offer
Look
me
what I
81
just did.
million and then say no.
Yeah, right. I mean, as far as sports franchises go, the Cubs are one of those beloved. The fans are amazing there. The history, everything else, the field, Wrigley Field, the ivy covering the brick in the outfield. I mean, I'm not even from Chicago, and you know it.
It's a
iconic.
storied franchise. Yeah.
I do want to, and this is all because earlier on you guys kind of wanted to, give me a hard time, the New Englander here, and my love for my New England Patriots. So I do want to say one thing, and if you're a Cubs fan out there, I kind of apologize in advance, but I can't help myself. Steve Botman.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That must
Alou
hurt.
wasn't gonna catch that anyway. Alou was a little bitch. I'm sorry. He wasn't gonna fucking get that. And he's like,
Yeah.
ooh, he's like pointing to like Bartman. He's like, whatever, dude. I'm a fucking
Threw his
fan.
glove on the ground. Yeah, he went.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Alou was not gonna catch that.
And
Also,
then-
your bullpen gave up like a shit ton of runs at the end of that game. So maybe yell at them as well.
But then your
Yeah.
boys gave him, well, they didn't give him, but they let Theo Epstein go over there and he was responsible. So thank you, Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kind of like little link up there because Boston also didn't have that title for a million years. So that guy actually had,
86.
dude, that guy, he got both
Theo
those
Epstein?
franchises on the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
He's
makes
got
you
a-
wonder: is it really the franchise, or is it the mind behind it all?
What a
Well, he's got
baller.
free beers for life in two
Oh,
great American cities. So.
Yeah, no shit.
I don't think he
All right.
needs free beers.
Yeah, true.
He paid for his own goddamn beer.
I'm pretty sure I read that he's trying to because he's not with the Cubs anymore, right? Didn't he
No.
didn't he leave? I think he wanted to buy a baseball team. Like he wanted to be part of the
Damn.
ownership group. So I could see that happening soon. If it hasn't already. I don't know. I stopped watching baseball this year.
1992 Adams Family VHS.
So hot.
Drew, you said, yeah, it's scorching. Your family couldn't get this movie for 2 weeks.
It might have even been, I think it was like 17 years.
Yeah,
It was
I
it
was
was
thinking-
so hot.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Was it like the Great Depression in your household? You guys were just moping around.
We were
bumming?
we were
You couldn't
like,
get
what are we gonna
Addams
do? And
Family?
we would go there, and we would actually like go. We would check the store like multiple times each
Hmm.
day, and it was like, we're like waiting by the door and like asking people when they would drop it off. I'm like, do you have the Addams Family? And they'd be like, no.
His dad came
so-
home with Street Fighter and they never talked to
Yeah.
him again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
like,
tough
hey,
times. Tough times, man.
We couldn't get the movie again. Dad, what do we do for fun tonight? Oh, Drew, we eat the bread. That's what we do tonight in silence because you can't get the Addams Family VHS.
Yeah, we didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, he's grumpy. 1972, the last Pigpen show. You said he played organs for the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, his
He
keyboard
played with
organs.
organs, I thought he said.
He played
No?
with. Okay, first off, I can appreciate the passion involved here because Mark is a massive, the biggest Grateful Dead fan I know. And I back when I was young, I lived with a lot of people who just reeked of patchouli. Trust you me, when I say there's a lot of hacky sacks around, so a lot of Grateful Dead fans in my life. Now, how did he die?
He Pigpen had he liked to drink a little too much.
Oh,
And years of heavy drinking finally caught up with him, and he basically just bled from the inside out.
okay. His liver just said,
Hey.
fuck this
Yeah,
shit.
it was
Yeah.
it was not a happy ending.
Ugh. All right. Well, that
It was the
sucks.
prequel to Street Fighter.
Yeah. His liver was wicked depressed. It couldn't get the Addams Family VHS or the cart back then, the cartridge. That's what he wanted.
Well, it was on television.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go. There you go. TV was broken. The liver just said, fuck it, I quit. Okay, guys. I mean, this is going to boil down to which is the bigger hot product. And I mean, it's really tough to argue the fact that when you sell a Major League Baseball franchise, it doesn't get much hotter than that, despite Drew selling the, sizzling hot heat of Raul Julia and again, his family woes. And,
Angelica Houston smoking.
There you go. There you go. And a very young, what's her name? The one who played Wednesday They went on to Christina Ricci.
Christina
right? She
Ricci.
was in that as well.
Christopher
Yes.
Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, great cast, but unfortunately,
Hand mob.
Chicago Cubs. Same thing with the Grateful Dead show. You basically are trying to sell me a ticket, a $6 ticket. Great, cheap ticket.
Yeah.
Last show for one of the original members. For you, huge, right? Big time. Oh, this guy, he was one of the founders of the band. Me, I don't know, man. Yeah, I know. I just made a weird noise because it's not really my kind of group. So I probably wouldn't buy a ticket even if it was 50 cents.
You got to
I guess so. So yeah, Chicago Cubs 81, Mancrush wins Hot Products.
You know what's funny is the Mets were sold 2 years prior to that for the record franchise total at that point, 21.1 million
Wow.
to Doubleday Enterprises. How insane is that? That's like nothing. Even with conversion, $60 million. Those guys had to know they were going to get that money back.
I know, but you're talking like monopoly money here. A lot
Yeah,
of us will
these are
never
big
see
corporations. Yeah, not
I
us
know.
per se, but like
right.
if you say you won the lotto and it's like a team with $60 million, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
They'd be like, who's this douche in office? Mancrush asshole.
How awesome
Yeah,
would that be to like
mustache.
own a baseball? That'd be so fucking awesome, man.
You have just baseball. You can have business cards that say your name, says owner, nothing else. What do you do? I don't. Somebody else runs this shit. I just don't.
Just own it.
I'm that guy.